right, well, let's get started. I'm going to intro us for everyone that's joining us on our virtual, as we have a ton, and then we have a ton in person. So thank you for making the trek today in probably the early hours of rush hour, as well as walking up a hill in the heat as things heat up in LA. I am really excited to have a discipline we actually don't touch on that much. We recently launched the Indiewood Screenwriting Fund here. And so when you came on to my email inbox and were like, I'm going to be in LA, let's talk short film screenwriting because I have a book coming out, it was perfect timing. So welcome, thank you so much for being here. We're going to have Austin Bunn, who I met at, originally actually at the Berkshires Film Festival. We had two films in the same block together. Yeah. A fantastic film that I remembered immediately, which is very hard to do with short films because we see so many of them. And, you know, that one stuck out to me.
Thank you.
And then we rejoined each other at when I went to Cornell, where you teach. Was it last February?
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. So it's been just over a year since I've seen you last, but I'm so excited that you're on our turf here at CFA. For everyone, this is going to be about an hour and a half, and then we'll have time to ask questions and network and hang. If you do have questions on the virtual, we have people behind the switcher that are able to ask those questions for you, so please make sure that you feel like you're a part of this. And then, as always, this is a safe space, so please ask questions. Please don't judge other people's questions. We are all at different levels. We are all exploring different stories. And awesome. I'll let you take it.
Thank you, Indiana.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for having me here.
For sure.
I've got to say, I think this organization is really special. You guys are lucky, and Indiana, your spirit just is suffused through it. Like the fact that you do these, and they're free, and apparently the snacks are also free. Like,
Totally.
So yeah, please avail yourselves of the Skinny Pop and the. I might get a LaCroix later.
Do it.
So I want to give you guys just a quick flyover of my own biography. As Indiana mentioned, I teach at Cornell University in Ithaca, New York. Is it maybe East Coasters originally from here? Where are you from?
Salamanca, New Buffalo.
Oh, wow. Salamanca. What are you, East Coast?
New York.
Oh, yeah, okay.
City.
And Paula, where are you from? Did I see your head up?
Yeah, Miami.
Oh, Miami, okay.
Yeah.
The coast is long. You're right, that's still the
Yes,
East
it
Coast.
is.
So, and I've been teaching at Cornell about 12 years, and it's been a real education for me because my background really is, I wrote short stories and even screenplays and plays in high school. But when I was in college, I went to Yale as an undergraduate. There really wasn't a screenwriting program. The film studies program was really academic. So I didn't really have any training. Like my mother had given me Sid Field's Screenplay. Maybe you some have read that as a classic when I was in 5th grade because she knew I loved movies. But that was my only real teacher. And then I spent about a decade as a journalist in New York City working for different magazines. I worked for Wired magazine, New York Times magazine. I loved working as a magazine journalist and it taught me a ton. And I often wrote about film and various cultural issues. And eventually I got a job doing book ghostwriting, which was really changed my life. So I wrote Christine Vachon, the film producer, I wrote her memoir with her. So she produced Past Lives that came out last year, May, December, Boys Don't Cry. She's one of these historied independent filmmakers living in New York City. Well-known, intense, Boldyke, like had no time for anybody, but for whatever reason, because I had been hired to write her book with her, she became my friend and was really supportive. And she produced the first feature film that I wrote, first and at this point the last, Kill Your Darlings, which came out in 2013 and went to Sundance. And the story of Kill Your Darlings is, you know, I think of myself as a creative writer. I love screenwriting, but that came from my love of poetry. So I was reading like Allen Ginsberg poetry, Jack Kerouac, came across this history about the Kerouac and Burroughs and Ginsberg all involved in this murder when they were undergraduates at Columbia University. Hey, welcome, come on in. Seats up front. You want to be in the hot seat?
Yeah.
It's air conditioned over here. I can feel the cool air.
Seat, actually.
What's your name? We did intros a minute ago.
Okay. Chinedu Oji.
Do you want to speak? Shanae?
Chinedu.
Chinedu.
Yeah.
C-H?
CHINEDU.
Got it. And Chinedu, do you come as an actor? Do you come as a writer to this room? Are you a director? Or are you...
All three.
Okay.
Writer, director, actor.
Cool. We just did quick intros.
Okay, cool.
So I was saying that I had fallen in love with these writers and read their biographies and discovered this little anecdote about the three of them involved in this murder when they were undergraduates at Columbia, and it seemed like a true story that had not really been told. So that film was produced by Christine Vachon, which tells you a little bit how the business works. I think some of you, those of you who live in LA know this already. It's kind of who you know, right? And so in this case, Christine Vachon was willing to read the script that I had written and we went to Sundance in 2013, and that really changed my life as a screenwriter. But I'll say that I discovered that writing feature films, unfortunately, it's a kind of roulette wheel. And I've written many scripts at this point that have not been produced. And I got kind of frustrated by that. I think as a creative writer, many of you probably had this experience where I don't want to write for a producer, I don't want to write for a drawer, I want to write so people can see the story. So I started making short films. And as for those of you that have made them, there is this really rich ecosystem of people making short films, meeting each other through the film festival circuit and working on each other's films, creating opportunities for themselves, and some of them are amazing. And you know some of the stories of people who have made short films and have gone on to make amazing films, right? I mean, that list is really long. Taika Waititi, Two Cars, One Night. Ryan Coogler made Locks, goes on to make Creed. A lot of them are making films as part of their MFA program, and that's, kind of they go out into the world and they go to great film festivals, maybe Sundance or South by Southwest. It turns out I met somebody who works is anybody a USC grad here? So, did you go to the film program?
No.
Oh, okay. Engineering, right. USC has an agent whose entire job is to promote the student work in the film in their own school. So that's partly why many of these film festivals have USC grad films in them, because they have a person paid full time to promote their work. That's pretty amazing. That's what it means to go to USC. Anyhow, what I wanted to say is that a lot of great filmmakers, most of them start by making short films. And that is not something that's apparent to, I think, people who just go to the movies every weekend, right? You're like, God, who's this filmmaker? Where do they come from, These movies are incredible. What did they make first? And so nowadays you can dig and find those early movies, which is what's so great. So I wrote a short story collection, and these are images from some of my recent films. This is Campfire. That's the movie that Indiana mentioned that she saw at the Berkshire Film Festival. And maybe because I started as a journalist, I've been really interested in exploring kind of the border between fiction and nonfiction. So Campfire is what we'd call a hybrid film. It's mostly a narrative movie, but it has like documentary episodes in it. And I could talk more about that today, but I think I wanted to focus specifically on kind of narrative shape for short films. And I think there's a lot of things you learn. I went to the University of Iowa for an MFA program in fiction writing and playwriting. And there's a lot of things that fiction writers learn because there's this like long canon of books about how to write a short story, what makes a good short story, that when you're trying to make a short film, they don't exist. So I wrote this book. And that's why I came to LA to go to this conference and give a talk. This is a book about short film screenwriting, specifically the short form. And in it is 22 screenplays that have been unpublished of great short films. So you can read Oscar winners, movies that went to South by Southwest. They're all in this book, and so it's an anthology and a craft guide. And I have it for sale for $25. We can deal with it at the break, but I'm proud of it. It just came out. And so what I'm going to talk about today are ideas extracted from the book. So I wanted to start by talking about premise. I think this is one of the hardest things for people to wrap their head around when you've been digesting feature films and TV shows most of your life. And they are different beasts, right? If you're trying to write a short film, you have to deal with constraint. You've got to deal with the fact that you don't have a massive budget. I teach undergraduates screenwriting, and most of the time when they try to sit down and write a screenplay or a short film screenplay, it has detectives in it, it has moon bases, it has epic things going on, because their diet has been Marvel movies and epic TV shows and things that you just really challenge you to produce in a short film form. So I thought I'd just start with premise. So here I'm going to give you 5 ideas that I think can work both for feature and for short film, but are a good place to start. And most of the filmmakers that I know, screenwriters that I work with, fashion their, like kind of shape the idea as a premise before they ever really write a word. You kind of want to get the premise into shape before you start spending time executing on an idea. And the main thing is reasonable scale. And what I mean by that is just imagining you've got 10 to 15 pages, right, of a short film. Can't be much longer. You don't have enough money. Nobody's going to watch a 20, 25-minute short film. So you've got to find a way to compress it. So some of the things to think about are choosing a specific location, a ticking clock, right? The idea that like, oh my gosh, something's going to happen in 15 minutes, and you're going to watch in real time what goes down. A narrow window of time, so meaning like one day, a small cast. And the last one refers to Aristotle's unities. Has anybody heard this term? You're nodding.
I have.
What are the unities? Do you remember?
I took theater studies like so many years ago, I can't remember. But
Isabel, did I get that right?
yes. Yeah.
So Aristotle wrote a book called The Poetics, which is about drama, classical Greek drama. And it's worth a reread, actually. There's lots of stuff to take from it. And one of the principles that he observed in successful drama is the idea that good stories observe 3 unities: time, place, and location. No, time, place, characters. So you don't have random strangers showing up at the end of your story. You don't keep moving location. It's just way too hard to sustain. And if you keep it all compressed to one single time period or focus of time, your story, the amplitude of the emotions goes way up, right? Because you're now trapped with these characters in this specific place. So those are the unities. Next up, visual life. And this is for the cinematographers in the room. I think this is really important in short film, is to sort of imagine your film visually before you sit and write it. What makes it interesting? Is there something cinematic about the location, a place we've never been before? Is there something unique about the job that the character has that we're going to watch? You know, you've seen short films that, somebody mentioned Anuja, is that the name of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was you, right? Let me
Yeah.
see if I can remember your name.
Ariana. Yeah.
Got it. Do you remember what the job was?
She was in the factory doing garment work.
Yeah, making like purses or making like
yeah,
tote
which
bags.
is really prevalent in India.
And almost anthropologically rich with stuff, right? Because it was almost all young girls, like underage girls making
Yeah.
this stuff in India.
But like to us, it's like it's crazy, but over there or in certain places around the world, it's unfortunately the norm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I also like to include the word process, meaning you're going to watch something unfold in front of the camera, and that's always really revealing. I think people want to know how things are made. Of course, some unique character or event. You know, if you've never seen a certain kind of person on screen. Oh, hey.
Hi, I can't see.
Oh, okay, no problem. I was like, whoa, we're going to the next level, Scott.
I'm gonna rush the stage.
So today's class, I realized I wanted to give you a little quick overview. So I'm going to present some of these like craft ideas, and I want to hear what you might have to add to them, things you might challenge me about. And then we're going to watch a short film, talk about it, analyze it according to these principles. And then I have an inciting incident that I'm going to give to you guys. We're going to see if we can write a short film today. All of you that have done these challenges with cinematography for actors, this you'll be used to. And I think you really can do this. We can do it in like 10 or 15 minutes. We can come up with a story shape for a pretty interesting short film. So, reasonable scale, visual life, danger, which is maybe the most obvious one. All too often, I know I work with students who are really compelled by their own story, but there's no stakes in it. And so it's important to remember, you want to think about tension, jeopardy, risk, sacrifice. That's maybe another way to think about stakes, right? It's just, what does this character have to lose if they don't get what they want? Or a primal emotion. I'm thinking there's so many short films that qualify here. Can anybody think of a movie with a really high stakes situation at the core?
A short film or just
Short film specifically, that's the one thing. So there's a movie called 8 Meter, it might be 9 Meter. And all it is, it's a story, have you seen this? You're nodding. So the premise is this teenage boy, his mom is dying, okay? And he gets in his head that if he's able to jump the distance between one building and another building, if he can do it, his mom will live. It gets it in his head. Well, that's a real 9 meter jump that he's gonna have to make, 5 stories up. So if he doesn't make this jump, he himself is gonna die. And that's all the movie is in training to be able to make that jump. So the danger is very real. Like you're watching a movie in which somebody looks like they're really gonna jump it. I watch enough parkour movies or parkour short films, I bet he could do it. Those are terrifying. You're nodding. To get back for a second, what about visual life? Can you think about a short film that has a really unique location or a way of visualizing thing? Am I not in the frame, by the way?
No, you're fine.
Okay. I'll throw one out there. There's a great short film with Michael Fassbender in it. Wait, is that his first name? Michael Fassbender?
Yeah.
The pretty well-known actor.
Yeah.
So it's about him. He's like a bank robber, and he needs a partner to rob some bank. So he hires he teams up with this older guy. It's Brendan Gleeson. They're both really well-known actors. And the whole premise is they've got to do this heist in the complete dark. And so what ends up happening is they end up conducting this heist. The last 5 minutes of this movie are in the complete black. You can't see anything. All you can hear is their conversation. And what it turns out is, Michael Fassbender is in fact the long-lost son of Brendan Gleeson. And he's not happy about that. And they're going to basically have this fight in the middle of this bank heist in the complete black.
What's the name of that?
You'll have to Google it. It's called like maybe Blackout or Pitch Black Heist. That's what it's called, Pitch Black Heist. Reasonable scale. So many horror shorts are made about this. Somebody mentioned Smile, right? Well, I think it was you. So you've seen the short film?
Yes.
Yeah, so do you remember what the premise is?
She was a college student. She was like top of her class, but everything was going wrong because she I think in the short, she again witnessed her professor kill himself in front of her.
Oh, interesting. I've seen the other version where she's like at therapy.
Yeah, it was to her therapist. And
Oh,
she
yeah,
was
she's-
saying, yeah, the professor killed himself in front of her.
Exactly. So all I meant to get at is she's just she's in the therapy room talking to a therapist. And at some point you begin to realize that the world you're looking at is not actually the world, and it's done in one take, right? There's just like a sweeping camera move where, I don't know how they did it. They must have flown out a wall and brought in another wall. It's really good. Anyway, most horror shorts, lights out, we talked about it a minute ago, right? It's a hallway in a bedroom. That's it. Like, and you can do those, you can take a million takes of those kinds of movies and get the perfect version of it. So, reasonable scale, visual life, danger, an element of strangeness. So I kind of cribbed this one from a guy named John Gardner, who wrote a book called The Art of Fiction, and that was a book for fiction writers. It's about how to elevate your novel and your short stories by using something eerie and uncommon in your premise, which just makes people sit up, right? There's a lot of movies out there. So you kind of have to identify something that makes your story unique. Can you think of a short film that has like an eeriness to it or something unique about it? Yeah.
The box.
I haven't seen that one, but what's it about?
Box, but this guy, like neighbor, goes over to his friend and gives him a box. He's like, "Here, you have to take it." And it's when he opens the box, it's this creepy face that pops up. And if you don't keep staring at his face, the instruction, you'll die.
Oh, okay.
And
Wow.
I saw it on YouTube, but it was like 7 minutes long, and it was really good.
Yep.
I was really invested.
How do you live your life if you have to keep staring at this box? I guess you're gonna die is the deal.
It's like someone, like whoever was gifted the box, you have to keep
Wow.
looking.
Okay. Anybody else? Yeah.
I forgot
Sean,
what-
right?
Yeah, I forgot what it's called, but maybe The Curve, or I don't know what it is, but it's about a woman who's the entire short is single location, stuck on this ledge that is.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah.
It's almost like science fiction. It's like some weird world where she's like trapped on this like sliding curve, right?
Yeah,
And
you
let-
can't really even. I guess you can put a genre on it, but it's
Yeah.
just no dialogue the whole time, and
Yeah.
the whole thing is strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would even say Pixar's Jerry's Game, which is the old gentleman playing himself. It's not necessarily eerie, but it's offbeat in the sense
Yeah.
that you have a character switching from one side to the other,
Mm.
consistently
Oh.
creating a dynamic.
I haven't seen that one. It's Pixar.
It's a Pixar
Oh,
short
yeah.
film, yeah.
Wow. So there's so many amazing short films, and you guys have your own canon. The ones that I love the most, I put into this book. And there's a filmmaker. He's actually, I think he's Moroccan, but he lives in London. And I interviewed him for the book. His name is Faisal Balifa, and his short film that I love is called Rate Me, and it's the story of, it's like this girl who is you might be a prostitute, but it's called a portrait in 12 a portrait in 12 short films. And you're just getting different visions of who this girl is. And by the end of it, you're just like, I don't know, like she could be a million different people. Like every short film is sort of a different vision of her. And he had this quote, which was, the riskiest thing to do in a short film is to make something that is familiar. And I think it's really true that short films thrive with experimentation, riskiness, edginess, something that's really up the center, like a family story of, I don't know, a daughter's going off to college and like, how does a mom say goodbye? That's a hard hang. That's a high wire act to make that great. Better to have her like, I don't know, she's not going off to college. She's basically gonna open up this box and stare at her face that's gonna kill her unless she's very. There's another great short film called The Carmen Line, which is in this collection. You've seen it, yeah. And do you remember what the premise is?
Yeah.
Tell them.
So it's Olivia Colman, right?
Yeah.
Suddenly starts floating.
Yeah, she's a mom.
Yeah, she's a mom. She suddenly starts floating, and every day she floats a little bit higher.
Yeah.
And so, eventually it starts reaching the point where she's, exiting the atmosphere and can't breathe
Yeah.
anymore. And I forget exactly what happens, but it's about her family trying to bring her back down.
Yeah. The Carmen Line is like the last layer of atmosphere before space, I guess.
Yeah.
And she just slowly just starts rising. The movie is just about this family letting go. And really a metaphor for grief, right? It's about how to let go of somebody who's never coming back. It's really sad, but a beautiful little fable.
Yes.
Okay, so the last one is the now. And I got this from my life really as a journalist. And the idea being that a good short film premise has something new to offer. It's about maybe something topical, something relevant, or something personal in your life that you're just now starting to deal with, or something that will feel really contemporary. Somebody mentioned I'm Not a Robot. Who saw it? Did you see it, Sean? Yeah. Has anybody else raise your hand if you've seen I Am Not a Robot? Okay. Sean, you haven't seen it.
I've seen it.
You've seen it. Do you remember what the now is in I Am Not a Robot?
I guess the topic of human, like how humanoid robots could eventually become, and
Yeah.
the line that blurs between whether we could recognize that.
I mean, that's a smart way of describing it. It's about a woman who can't pass the CAPTCHA test. You know those dumb CAPTCHA tests that are like find the robot, find the motorcycle, find the
Yeah.
fire hydrant? She can't pass it. So she's like, what the hell's going on? And the fact is, what's going on is weirder than you ever thought, right? Turns out she may not, in fact, be able to pass it because she is not human. So that's the premise of that. And it is about this blur that we're living with where, like, maybe the person sitting next to you is, like, part AI or AI enhanced. Anyway, I'm a big believer in the now because if you look at the Sundance, every year Sundance releases the lineup of the movies that are going to screen there, right, the short films. They always put the log lines out. Like you can read about, the description of every single movie, and studying those log lines, you really see they're very sensitive to the now. And, for those of you that are making short films, going to Sundance will change your career. Like it's the way people platform. Those movies get turned into feature films. Whiplash, you may remember that feature film, started as a short film that won the jury prize for best short film. They begin there, and they often have some contemporary element that makes them relevant now. Contemporary issue, whatever. Okay. Any other questions or like anybody want to add one to this? Another thing that I often talk about, and I didn't put it up here, is you got to have an amazing central performance. Like there's no such thing as a great short film with a leaden main actor, So it's always a good idea if you got actors in this room, write a part for yourself to just burn up the screen, with. I think that's a great way to go. Yeah.
Yes. Would you say the short film premise would be different from a short film theme?
Yeah, because to me, theme is more about message or, kind of the kind of content of the film's storytelling. Like, is it about immigration or is it about fathers and sons or about, I don't know, all those things that are about what is the narrative about. These are more like from the outside looking in, how do you set up a film for success? Like, keeping it reasonably scaled, making it visually interesting. It's got to be some kind of stakes. That'll make people watch. Strangeness makes people perk up their ears and be like, hey, what's this one about? And the now makes it earn its place in a film festival. Yeah, in the back.
You mentioned a strong central performance. I've noticed there's a lot of, in TV and film, ensemble stories that have done really well. Would you say that you need more to focus on, one person rather than an ensemble for shorts?
It depends on how experienced you are. I am not at the place where I could direct an ensemble short film because it's just a lot of moving parts. But I love that show High Maintenance. And High Maintenance was a web series that kind of moved from the internet to Vimeo and then ended up in HBO. And they do an amazing version of ensemble short films, and it just takes a kind of confidence and real trust with your actors. I think there's almost an improvisatory quality to them. So yeah, I would focus on small cast, one main character. One main part, and no kids if you can avoid it. Although, God, there are amazing short films with kids in them, but this is especially challenging. But yeah, did you have a question?
Yeah, I
Ariana?
was gonna add, we should be able to, ask questions. There should be something that, makes us curious.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Even if it's something we've seen before, we should be curious.
Suspense, any kind of,
let's learn more.
yeah, make you ask a question. That's good. That comes into narrative shape, right? Because you're kind of you want to see what happens next.
Yeah, and it's sort of what you said about Anuja. That leaves us asking questions at the end.
Yeah.
So what if you ask a question at the start of the movie? Or at
Okay,
the end?
interesting. So, this gets into now narrative form. So we've talked about premise. Now I want to talk about story structure. And I like to start with Freytag's triangle, which may be a little elemental. For those of you that have ever studied creative writing, you probably have seen the Freytag's triangle before. Freytag was this German guy who, in the 19th century, he was a soldier, a journalist, and he read a ton of plays, a little bit like Aristotle, and proposed his own story structure that is taught in graduate schools and many creative writing classes. Anybody seen it before? Yeah. Do you know what do you know the elements of the Freytag triangle? You could probably sketch them out. Actually, you know what? You know it already. Let's see if anybody else does. So the triangle has this part at the beginning. Any guess of in a just story what we call this section of the story where there's no dramatic escalation? Yeah.
Setup?
Yeah. Exposition. Officially the exposition. And then the triangle begins. What happens right here?
Like an inciting incident?
Inciting incident, yeah, exactly. So that sets the story in motion. Then this section, rising action, escalation. What are some things that happen during the rising action? Like, what is rising action? Ariana, you remember?
The story starts to escalate. Like, the inciting incident will set off a series of events.
Yeah.
And that will be the rising action.
Let me back up a second and talk about the inciting incident, because I think inciting incident is the secret to all of it. Coming up with a good inciting incident. And the main thing to think about is that a good inciting incident isn't just about what happens, right? Like, just because it happened to you doesn't mean it's interesting, okay? It's how you respond. So the best inciting incidents, and this is really an insight coming from Freitag, is it incites something in the main character to do something. This is what we call a line of action in feature film screenwriting, right? That there's an action. And that doesn't mean just doing something. It means this kind of summoning force that a character now wants something. They need to change something or get something or find something. So I feel like it helps sometimes students to instead think about just something happens and more about what is the character's reaction to it. That's where your story begins. And a unique reaction is always the most interesting, right? Like, just because you lose your phone and you go looking for your phone, that is not really an inciting incident yet. It's more about, oh, well, now you discover that it's actually some unique person who has your phone, and maybe you're going to decide to do something different to get that phone back, or you're going to not be like, I don't need that phone, instead I'm going to do something else to get something from them. I don't know, whatever it is. The point being is, just something because it happens to you doesn't make it interesting. Okay. Then, as you probably know already, it builds, this rising action builds to a climax and denouement. My dad was a French teacher, so he taught me what denouement means. It's a French word. Does anybody know what denouement means? The falling action, obviously, it's kind of the mirror to rising action. But N-O-U-E means knot in French. So denouement means unraveling of the knot. And I have to admit, I think this triangle, while it's like appealing as a piece of like graphic information and teaches us something, the word climax is not really that helpful. It's very hard, I think, as a writer to write a climax. When I was young and just starting to write, I thought climaxes were people screaming at each other and then somebody lost, like the end. And unfortunately, having seen a number of these short plays produced, I realized that's not really that effective, not interesting to watch dramatically. So I like to propose a different way of thinking about what a climax is, which is a climactic choice made by the main character. And the reason I think this is most helpful is it rotates that idea of a climax into a person, into your main character. Your protagonist makes the climactic choice. You know that feeling when you reach a story, you reach the climax of a story, you're like, wow, what's going to happen next? And someone else makes the climactic decision that has consequences and irrevocability. It doesn't feel very satisfying. And my issue with Anuja, as strong as it was, is that it brought us all the way to the climactic choice and then it ended. We didn't even know what happened. It was like, wait, the girl was either going to decide between going to school or working in this terrible factory with her sister. And in the end, I think my suspicion is that ultimately this has to do with the fact that what are stories for to begin with, right? Like, why do we write these at all? And it's really about teaching us, sharing with each other wisdom about how to live life and how to succeed and be resilient. That's what all stories are about. There's this researcher at Stanford, her name is Shirley Heath, and she studied novels and who reads what and why. And what she found is 3 groups of Americans actually go out and buy new novels. Can you guess what kind of Americans actually buy new novels? I mean, meaning novels. Not like, I don't know, Grapes of Wrath, but like the new books that come out. Come on, you kind of know some of this intuitively.
Librarians?
Go bigger, way bigger demographically. Oh my gosh, I think it's even smaller than librarians, but yeah.
I'd say senior citizens.
Interesting.
Yeah, retired
Educators.
Okay, ooh, these are all good.
Moms?
Women.
I was gonna say no women.
Women? Huge, huge. Women, minorities that have changed class, and gay men who've come out of the closet. Why do you think those 3 what do they share?
Risk.
Interesting. An encounter with unpredictability is what she said. Like, the lives of women are so different from the lives of your mom, so different from the lives of your grandmothers. Like, totally new options have come into the world for you. Gay men come out of the closet, now they can live a completely different life. They're not constrained by that shape. An immigrant who's come to America and has landed and is now middle class, think about all the options that are out there for them and unpredictable things that come into their lives. So people, these three groups are reading novels because they want to read about people's encounter with unpredictability. What is it like to, when this hits you? What do you do in reaction? That's what she argues, that's what stories are for. And I agree. I think there's something about this little story shape that's really like a little nugget of what is it like to go through something and make a tough decision and come out the other side. Which is why when we think about rising action and development or escalation, really what I think about is the stakes are going up. You're like, once this inciting incident happens, you can't go back home because home's going to be different. And even as you go further, oh wow, you're going further away from home. You're not going to be the same person you were. That's what this is about, building to irrevocability. And that's really challenging to write a story with that kind of irrevocability. Think about it. Most of us write, maybe a story that's a little bit more modal. It's another Tuesday, something weird happens. I don't know, a witch shows up in your kitchen. What are you going to do now? But something misadventure is going to happen. The witch is going to go away, and you're going to have dinner and go on with your life. That wouldn't really qualify as a great story yet because nothing irrevocable happened. I have two other things I want to offer in light of this diagram that I think are helpful for people. The first is short films don't have exposition. The best ones dump exposition. Like they basically start here at the inciting incident. Now, when you're writing your short scripts, you're going to write exposition. You just are because we don't have time. You're like learning stuff about your world. So I often spend a lot of time here just trying to figure out what my story is. But when you come to your production draft, this is the time to cut all of this and see if you can start as close to your inciting incident as possible. A way that playwrights sometimes think about it is called exploding into scene, meaning like aperture opens and it's on. Like there's no like lead up. It's not like someone walks into the room to break up with their boyfriend. You explode into scene. You open the aperture and the guy goes, say what? You see what I mean? And the girl says, oh yeah, right, this is the last time we're gonna talk. So you just immediately begin, explode it as much as you can because you know what? People are at this point, we're pretty impatient with film. You want things to be interesting immediately. So the closer you can come to opening on the inciting incident, the more like watchable and grabby your film will be. The other part is they tend to end at the climactic choice. Right around there. Like you might even know what they're going to decide, but we're not going to see it. Like with Anuja, I thought the other way to do this would have been just give me a little sliver of her decision, and I probably would have been more happy.
Right, but there's nothing.
But instead, she just was almost like frozen. Yeah, exactly. Another way that a lot of stories in the short film form are structured is around a perception shift. More like an epiphany. I'm sure you've heard that expression before. The idea that a character realizes something. But the thing I want to underline with perception shift is that the best ones don't just happen in your character, they happen in you. That's what makes them potent, right? That you, as an audience member, are realizing something different about either the world that character's in or about the character you're watching, whatever it might be. So I mentioned Pitch Black Heist earlier. You don't know that Michael Fassbender in that movie is this long-lost son of Brendan Gleeson. It's only in the middle of the pitch black where you realize, oh my God, he's about to betray this guy. Why is he betraying? Oh my God, he's actually, whoa, that's what's happening? And it's all happening inside you. It's not even in the dialogue. So those are the best ones, those perception shifts that happen in your main character and you at the same time. And the crazy thing is, you know immediately, you can think about some stories that have perception shifts that happen in the main character and you at the same time, and the common quality is they're masterpieces. We all remember, like The Sixth Sense, right? If you've seen that movie, you're never going to forget that moment because it happens in Bruce Willis and you at the same time. Can you think about other movies that have that? You just can't forget them because they tend to be that good. And that's why M. Night Shyamalan ended up turning that into a bit of his trick, right? But he's good at it, yeah.
I mean, like, are you speaking something like Jurassic Park, when we see the dinosaurs at the same time as the main characters who are coming to the island?
That's interesting. So that's a feature film, and that's pretty early, right? Don't they?
It is,
yeah.
but it's still
like
us
they're alive. Oh my God.
experiencing
The same
moment
shot.
at the same time.
Feature films have perception shifts, usually like spaced out across all of them. Hey, welcome. So, well, I'm Not a Robot, which we're going to watch in a few minutes, is a good example with a really strong perception shift in it. There's two of them, one early on and one at the end. Yeah. Well, they put it on the internet, thankfully. Yeah. Ariana.
You said the character has a perception shift. What if it's not like a character-driven story? What if it's driven by other circumstances?
It's interesting. In the abstract, it's hard to say, but maybe it would work. I don't know. The thing is, perception shifts happen in people. Like, you know, and you could have a moment where you realize, oh, everything I'm watching is actually not real, right? And the character's not real. But then it's only happening in you, and that's not as satisfying. Dramatically, you want to see a character go through this, right? I was saying before, we want to see a character go through something. So that's why movies where it's like, oh, I wake up and it's just a dream, don't have a lot of resonance because the perception shift is there, but there was no irrevocability, there was no escalation, nothing really happened, so why do we care? It's really hard to break that. Like, for students, they really love that idea of it's all a dream, but as we all know, that just doesn't really work any longer. It's a very played out idea.
Did you say like Memento would be like one of those?
Good example, yeah, huge. I mean, Christopher Nolan's very good at this too, yeah. That is a very big one. I just watched it again though, and I was like, gosh, this movie is so like naughty and complicated. Memento, Christopher Nolan's second feature film after Following. Okay, any questions on this so far, Tri-Tech Triangle? So what we're gonna do later is think about, like, I'm gonna give you an inciting incident, because I have a pretty good one, I think. Then you're gonna try to generate what could happen, right? Then we're gonna try to collaboratively come up with a perception shift and a climactic choice for this main character. And then I think we've got a pretty good short film, and you guys can go shoot it. Let's make $1 million. Just kidding. Okay, so I think, oh yeah, I forgot to bring up maybe the biggest, most important term, which is catharsis. I'm sure some of you have heard this before. Anybody can define catharsis? You're looking at me, Scott. You know what catharsis is? Come on.
I'm trying to think of a good definition for it.
It's hard.
Catharsis is it releases negative energy.
Yeah, purgation, I think, is the literal translation.
That's a word. Wow.
So Aristotle proposed it in that book Poetics that I mentioned earlier, and he believed that the purpose of all drama was to kind of have this purgation experience where a character goes through something really challenging, in his case like Oedipus clawing out his own eyes, realizing he slept with his own mom, but the point being that you as an audience member, you pity him, you feel really terrible for the main character, but you also relate deeply to that experience. And that purgation, that heart in your throat, that feeling of like you're almost sick to your stomach because the recognition is so intense. In fact, he called it a recognition, perception shift. But that's what stories are for. They're giving that feeling of like, oh my God, I just went through something. And the truth is the evidence of you feeling something is typically tears. You like think about the movies that have made you cry. I don't know about you guys, but I watched Past Lives and I sobbed at the end, right? Has anybody seen Past Lives, Celine Song's movie? Yeah. Because you're having this moment where you're realizing the choice that she's making, the irrevocability of it, right? And the fact is that's where her heart really lies. I don't know, just detonated inside me, and I think I could relate to it. Maybe you did too. Did you cry? Did you cry?
No, I didn't cry, but I felt it.
Yeah, you felt it. Anybody else can think of a movie you've seen? I guess short films might be a little constraining. It's really hard to do, but I do think you can do it in a short film, because I've tried, and I think I've come pretty close to create catharsis in a short film. I'm not a robot, I don't think creates catharsis, and you'll be the judge. But a good movie does create catharsis. Anybody think of a movie that's made you cry? Yeah.
I just rewatched Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that fucking killed me.
That great one. Anybody else?
Oh, I've been watching The Pit, which is a TV show, but medical dramas every episode. I'm like, oh, thank God.
There's so much viscera
and
too.
I'm sobbing hysterically.
Oh, wow. Oh, you cried. Oh, wow.
Well, a lot of them are about like be about having a kid, and I just had a child.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like very.
Yeah, you can relate to it.
Yeah.
Okay, that would be a great place to write from too. Like a place, if you feel that way about that issue, I think you should explore it. So this is what you're aiming for, right? Is that feeling of some kind of transformation, some kind of irrevocability, and an inciting incident that's compelling, that we want to know what's going on next, as Ariana, you pointed out, right? Like a good inciting incident makes you go like, what's it? What are they going to do, right? All right, so I think the next thing I had on my list was, oh, yes. So before I just move on, I want to give you a little snacky thing to take with you. When in my MFA program, again, in fiction, so a little bit different from screenwriting, but I think it really does apply, somebody taught me this very simple heuristic, like a rule of thumb about how to write a compelling story, how to organize a story, and I have used this in my own short story writing and screenwriting, and it really works, which is to say it's called the ABDD CE story structure. And what it does, it means you start with the inciting incident, action, then you go into the background. So you force yourself to put the exposition after the inciting incident. You can either do a flashback, which I don't recommend in short films because they're so short, you don't really have time for a flashback, but you can insert the information. Whatever you think was necessary, figure out a way to bring it up. Then you have a development, which is usually a choice made by the main character, something that puts the story in motion. D2 is another choice made by your main character. Now, typically good stories have a lot of D, like you're choosing. But typically the D2 or the second choice made by the main character is something involved in the perception shift, like whatever your story is aiming for. And it creates the climactic choice, the C, the climax, and then you have your ending. And as I mentioned before, typically short films start here, and the good ones tend to end here. You don't really have denouement. You don't really have like all this slowdown. We just don't have time for that. Okay, A, B, D, D, C, E, story structure. I think next up I have, before I got to I Am Not a Robot, I just wanted to relate to you guys as fellow writers. This isn't always that easy. I throw this graphic up here like you can just do this, but here are some of the things that I know that are really hard for me, and I thought I would just relate. The first thing is figuring out who your protagonist is. I find that when I write, I sometimes write the most boring character is the protagonist. Everybody, all the minor characters are doing interesting shit, have opinions, doing stuff, but the main character is just kind of coasting along from scene to scene to scene. And that's a moment to take us to stop and realize whoever's choosing, who's ever making the climactic or consequential decisions in the story, is your main character, and it may not be the protagonist you thought you had. So it's a way of almost studying what I call the chain of consequence in a story. Look at who's making the decisions, that's your protagonist. Sometimes also too, it's minor characters that are having the perception shift, not the main character. Then you also know that maybe you should change it up. The next thing is, and for the cinematographers in the room, I thought we'd have more cinematographers here. Creating really, really strong mental images is really hard as a screenwriter because you only got words, right? So you're almost like one step removed from images. And I just encourage you, this is one of the reasons why people choose one location for a screenplay, a short film, because you just choose an interesting location, take your breakup story and put it in a bathroom at an airport, and now it's just way more interesting. Even though it's probably ugly to watch, it'll be something more interesting. The mental image is very clear from the beginning. So I almost write some stories independent of where they take place, and then I ground them in a unique place. So if you watched Campfire, the movie that came out last year that Indiana saw at the Berkshire Film Festival, it's really about somebody looking for a long lost love. It's a basic quest narrative. But I set it at a gay campground, and it's a straight man looking for someone from his past. So fish out of water, and it gave me this opportunity by putting him in this weird location that everything he was seeing was new to him. And that's always a good place to be, right? That your character is seeing stuff anew. If you tried to set that kind of story in, I don't know, that guy's hometown, where he knew every spot, he knew every location, it wouldn't be nearly as interesting for that character because he's not a fish out of water. He's in the goldfish bowl that he lived in. But you could set it at a factory where his long lost love worked. Now all these people are new to him. All these relationships are new. It becomes a lot more interesting to watch. I had a magazine editor once, this guy who was the editor-in-chief of the New York Times Magazine and also New York Magazine, Adam Moss. And he was a big believer in subcultures, and I think that's a really good way to go too. There's a part of filmmaking that is really connected, I think, to ethnographic documentary. Like, that's what film started with, right? In the Nook of the North. It's like, what are people doing in the world? So if you can identify a subculture that your protagonist represents, it's on. Like, it's way more interesting to watch a person who's a representative of a subculture than to just watch some independent being in the universe.
Austin, there's a question from the Zoom.
Oh, let's go.
About the last slide.
Yeah.
What is the reason for the out of order letters? Does having the C after the D's mean something?
No, I think it's just the word development and climax.
Okay, so it's not an alphabetized.
No.
Okay, great. Clear.
The main thing that I guess to look at would be that the exposition, aka background, comes after A. So that's the main reason for that. Thank you, internet, tomorrow, people, whoever's out there. And then sometimes with short film, and I do think this is a revision issue less than drafting, is starting as late as you can, ending as early as possible, and building to a real climax. Sometimes I'll have a good story idea, but I will not know what the climax is. And I'll just keep writing and try to figure out what is this building? Well, usually that has to do with, I haven't quite figured out what the main character wants, right? That is the goal of a good story, is that the main character has some kind of objective. And if it's strong enough, I will have a climax. But if they just have a weak need, it's really hard to make that interesting. Somebody who lost their wallet, yeah, they want their wallet back. But unless there's something really important in that wallet, that's going to be a hard movie to watch. Because we kind of all lose our wallet at some point. It's not that interesting unless it introduces them to someone unique. Somebody there before? All right, before we watch this, so I just want to, well, let me see for a second. Let me just review these premises and run them through the idea of the movie I Am Not a Robot. So, Sean, you're the only person who's seen it, right? Anybody else seen I'm Not a Robot? Oh, you saw it?
So good.
Okay, so these are the elements of a strong short film premise. What is the reasonable scale to I Am Not a Robot? We're talking about limited locations and keeping the thing really like just not a lot of characters. You've seen it. What's the reasonable scale in I'm Not a Robot? How is it a reasonable project to try to pull off?
Oh, it's in one location.
Her office, right? Maybe one floor of an office and maybe the parking garage.
And the parking lot.
That's it.
And the outside of the ending, yeah.
Very briefly, right? We
Yeah.
get like one instant of her on outside of it. Visual life, what made it interesting to look at?
Oh, wow. It was so artistically, like the framing was beautiful. It was very artistic.
Great cinematography.
Amazing.
What I would argue with this is that once you start to sign up for the premise of like, is this person a human being or is it a robot? You're looking at this actress in a totally different way,
Yeah.
right? You're
Yeah.
studying her face like, oh my God, is it like, am I
Yeah.
gonna see some weird robot thing come out? Like, is her faceplate gonna come off?
Yeah.
The danger's obvious, Sean, like what's the danger in that movie? Think about it through the eyes of the protagonist.
Well, it's like, there's an existential word to it, or finding out.
She may not be human, and this is the day that she realized that. Doesn't get deeper.
Yeah.
An element of strangeness, we've talked about this before, the idea that, like, well, what's going on? This is a world where, wow, people can, like, basically just, hire or bring on or whatever, birth an AI version of someone, and they can live with them. And anyway, the point being, it introduces a world that we've never really seen before. And then lastly, the now, this is probably straightforward, but I mentioned the CAPTCHA test that she fails. That's pretty now, we've all been there. And the other part is, this is a world where there are AI beings sitting alongside us. Now, I'm kind of giving spoiler alert a little bit. There's a perception shift in this that comes early, which is, yeah, she is one. She's not a human being, and this is the day she's realizing that. So that's something you know already, but when you watch the movie, you don't know. So now I think we should watch the movie, because I got enough time. This is a little late, or that clock is a little late. And the movie is 19 minutes. I feel like Zoom tomorrow, people, you may just want to go to YouTube and watch this movie instead of watching it on the Zoom. Any questions before we start watching this? So what I want you to think about when you're watching it is, I've given you the principles of the story shape. We've talked about inciting incident and pushing all the background until after the inciting incident, escalation, the idea that a character wants something and is pursuing it, it's coming at greater and greater costs, and that there's a climactic moment in which there's a perception shift and a climactic choice made by the main character. And let's see if this movie hits those beats. And okay, so why do you think it won the Oscar? I mean, there were 4 other amazing short films in that lineup. Are you feeling catharsis right then?
I mean, I feel it every
It's-
time. I'm just like my 4th time watching it.
Yeah, it's powerful.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, why do you think it won the Oscar? Yeah, at the back.
I think there's a lot of relevancy, both the robots and you'll see men online threatening. We're all gonna have robot girlfriends one day, so you'll be irrelevant. But also her as a person, but also as a woman, her
Yeah.
autonomy
Yes.
and not having it, and that's the big choice that she makes at the end.
Yeah.
Is just a big taking a leap on her autonomy.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. And
So it's not just about bots and humans, it's actually about gender issues ultimately. That this guy made the decision for her. She may not have any control over her life. Great, so it has a kind of relevance that I think is real, that people feel. Other thoughts, yeah?
I thought the pace was wonderful. The pace, the edit, all of that, the edits was just beautiful.
It's really tight.
Really led us on a trip.
And beautifully shot,
Beautifully shot, yeah, technically it was wonderful.
It's a great example of they could have chosen any office building, but they chose an office building that's kind of awesome to be inside
Yeah,
for a little while if you're
building,
gonna be stuck there,
yeah.
Other reasons why I think it was successful, I mean, there were 4 other really good political, Anuja was pretty strong, the one set in South Africa was amazing, and so I was honestly kind of surprised that this one won. What else do you think?
When speaking about power dynamics, I think it's interesting that a robot is so startled by being controlled, because that's like an oxymoron.
Yeah.
That's crazy to think of, and and that makes us question a lot of things.
We live in a world with, artificial general intelligence maybe on the horizon where the robots do have agency. And so it does imply a much bigger world that we're never going to see. Maybe they'll make a feature film out of this, but I love the way that it just kind of gives you a little taste of what the world looks you don't have to see other bots. We don't need to spend a whole time, seeing the store where he got her. That's just implied. Yeah.
There are moments of humor.
Yeah, key. Anything else? Yeah.
I think it was cool, the super relatable moments that everybody goes through. I feel like in films, when we can really relate to a particular moment, it really hits home, the whole robot thing in the beginning.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody's been through trying to figure it out, and you kind of sweat a little bit. You're like, wait.
Is that a motorcycle I'm looking at, or is it a tree?
Do I click?
Yeah, it's true.
So it's pretty, I like that part a lot.
There's a moment when she's in the bathroom and she comes out and there's a guy. What's that? Why is that in the movie? He's repairing the bathroom, I think. Yeah, go back.
I think it's showing her not having that normal human of he's like, I'm just repairing the door, and she the way she processes that
Was a little weird.
different. But it also that and taking the quiz made me think of different being having ADHD or and there's a lot of that you don't feel like things are right, or having those moments where where he how he responds you answered wrong, that wasn't the correct answer. It's
Or maybe he's a
there's
bot,
correct answer,
for all we
what am I
know.
supposed to know? So I feel like it kind of is relevant on a level there
Yeah.
too.
Other thoughts about why that scene's in the movie? We'll go here and then here.
Also, everyone in the office is a woman except for him,
Mm.
and her boyfriend is playing games in the middle of the day.
I know, that's
And so it's they're in this world. There is a different power dynamic between men and women in the office place, except men still have the upper hand.
Yeah. I think it might also be there to also signal a very human kind of miscommunication interaction. So to make us faint, right? To kind of give us the head fake of oh no, she's definitely a human being. She's a girl. Your thoughts?
Yeah.
Having watched it for the fourth time,
I know, right?
you might know better than me.
No, the bathroom scene, after watching it, I was like, why is that there?
Yeah.
And then I wondered, is that there because we've never actually seen her do bot things, really? And that is kind of a slick way to show, ooh, that's a bot. You know what I mean?
Well, she does say, I could fix it for you. And you're like,
Right.
wait, what?
Yeah,
Clearly
so,
he's the guy fixing
off
it.
the cuff like that.
Yeah.
And she didn't even it didn't even register to her that she's saying something wrong to
Mhm.
her reaction afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Good point.
So that helped me too, because that's really the only time that I really see her do something hey, what happened there?
Yeah.
Outside from other people telling her.
Yeah. That's true. She's pretty much in control otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the back.
I think, juxtaposed to the fact that she just used the restroom, which we don't think of robots as doing.
Did she use the restroom or did she just go there to make her phone call? I think she was looking for a quiet space.
My apologies.
I'm not sure though. I don't know. Maybe it's true. Maybe there's an outtake.
Think of does she use the restroom? Does she not realize that that's weird to not use the restroom? That sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, a good point.
Yeah.
That's true.
She was smoking too.
That's true. She was smoking too.
Bleeding.
Has anybody read Clara and the Sun? Such a good book. Ishiguro, about a kind of companion robot that suddenly discovers what its reason for being is, and it's kind of like a horror movie, but it's also very beautiful, tender. Anyway, okay, so just really quick, breaking it down. Inciting incident. Right at the beginning, right? She realizes, well, this thing, I can't pass this freaking test. What's the deal? So then, thinking about her reaction, what does she do in reaction to that? Break it down. What's her first goal?
Call customer service.
Call customer service, right? And what's weird about the customer service call?
They kind of didn't hear her. They weren't listening.
Well, he basically was like, oh, by the way, you're a bot, right? And that's the first time that we're getting some objective sense that, oh, maybe she really can't pass this test. Okay, so then she learns that, then what?
The questionnaire.
The questionnaire
Having memories of her childhood.
really starts to be it's escalating things. Now it's oh, no, this is actually, she really might be a bot. And then there's I love the handshake corporate image of bots are just like us. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so then in reaction to that, she, thinking about it from an actor's point of view, that's why I think cinematography for actors is such a great way to think about things, because story is so much about character making decisions. What do you do once you learn that? What does she do when she learns, oh my gosh, I might really be a bot? Call her boyfriend. Call the one person in the world who might actually know, can tell her objectively whether or not she is.
I thought it was interesting too, right before that, the entire office looks at her.
Yeah.
Like, maybe they all know she's a bot too. So it's not
Or are
just.
they also bots?
Or are they also
They're also
bots?
bots.
And the question of, is your partner wealthy?
I know, that's a weird question to ask. If it's really just a joke or something, yeah.
I think in terms of the cinematography, it was very smart how, as her phone call ends and she's registering that she is potentially a bot, we go from seeing the left side of her face to the right side of her face. There's a sharp angle change.
Yeah, good point, yeah. The camera really swings around. Well done.
Yeah.
So then there's this episode where she's like stuck in a meeting, right, with some musician, some, I don't know, female singer-songwriter. And why do you think that scene's there?
So that you get that line of dialogue where she says, yeah, I'm human.
Yeah, there's a nice ironic turn there. Other reasons why you think that scene might be in there? Yeah.
I was gonna say that as well, but like I feel like in your everyday life, especially if she was an artist and she would be more focused on being an artist, they're asking her questions, but she's so distracted by the fact that she might be a robot. She's trying to get the person on the phone, and they're like, "Well, what kind of person are you?" Because they're thinking she's human, and then they go, and she goes, "I'm human."
Yeah.
Like
I'm a person.
I'm
Yeah.
a person, and then she's like, "I need to go make that phone call," because she's now like she's definitely her brain is scattered at that point.
Yeah. I think one thing I talk about in the book is this idea of inner life, that the strongest short films, and really all stories, really connect you with the interior experience of life. It's very easy to forget that as a screenwriter because it's all about the exterior life, right? Action and what people can show us in their faces and what they do. But the more you can animate the inner life of a character, the more interesting your story is going to be. I think that scene's in there really just to force us into her inner experience of like, ooh, shoot. Like, she's not just running around trying to solve problems. She's stuck. So I think that's a good practice. When you kind of figured out what the nugget of conflict is for your story, give your character a moment just to be stuck in the experience emotionally. This is why so many movies have that moment where somebody looks in the mirror, just friggin' checks themselves out. Like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going through this. Because that's that moment of interiority. We're literally watching a character look inside themselves and register what's going on. Sometimes we call that in fiction dilating time. Like basically, as you notice, the sound falls away. Can't really hear what they're saying because you're up in here. So you always kind of want a beat of that in your story, just to connect us to the inner life. Paula, do you have a question? Your hand up? Or did I see a hand up over here? Oh yeah.
When you asked, can you ask the question again of the songwriting? What did you ask for that? Why did it say she was songwriting?
What did I say? I don't know. Did I say that? Oh, why was the scene there where she's stuck in that room with the female singer-songwriter and her boss or something like that?
I think for that moment when I was watching it, it made me think of how, like, you know, how AI is replaced. Like, you can ask ChatGPT for anything. If you wanted to ask it how to make you a song,
Yeah.
it was great. It could pretty much do anything.
Yes.
And I think that moment was like for me where I was like, oh, she like kind of like what ChatGPT would be in the background, but in
Interesting.
the world.
Present, yeah. I wondered if her boss knew that she's a bot. I don't know. There's probably a lot of questions we could ask. Good for the feature film. Well, it was a good example of if I were the screenwriter, you're like, I got to put her in a place where like, we need a human being to do something, and you want a tastemaker to help develop an album. She works at a label. So they were just trying to be like, okay, I need human beings in this room, creative spirits, like, and so they kind of drew into relief this tension between her being a human or a bot.
And talking about diversity.
Oh, yeah, right. There's another little moment of like the now, right? Okay, so then she calls her boyfriend. Boyfriend's like, oh, the signal's breaking up, like the oldest, lamest move in the book. And then he shows up with the executive, right? And now stuff's getting very real. She's like, oh no, the executive's like, no, you are a bot. Like, this is why you don't have memories, et cetera, et cetera. So what does she do then? Again, you got to keep your character active. You don't want to have this story crescendo in a boring stakeholder boardroom. She rebels. What does she do? Runs away. Runs to her car. She's gonna get out of here, right? Classic move. It's just to escape. And then, of course, he gets in the car, right? So in terms of escalation, it's always good if you have an escape plan, and every character is gonna try something. Keep that antagonist as close as possible to your main character. So he gets in the car, shuts the door, right? And now she can't drive. She's gonna actually get out of the car, and he's gonna drive the car. So it's got a nice little escalation. Remember, we're still in that same location, which is great. And by the way, that location has already been set up. That's always really satisfying in a film, right? When you feel that inner architecture. We saw her go up and vomit. She went back down to work. Now she's back up at the top. We've already established the top of this garage building. So she flees. We've got a challenging conversation with her and the boyfriend. And one of the things, one of the elegances of this film is that now the exposition comes out. Now the backstory comes out, right? What is the perception shift that happens between her and her boyfriend in that moment? or husband, or whoever she is.
But he's purchased her.
Yeah, and even more so, who is she to him?
His
A whore. Sex doll, but even more emotionally,
Most likely a replication of his ex.
of Olivia, who's now gone. Yeah, who died. Because he doesn't want to experience the grief again. So the rule is, you're going to die after me, because I'm not going through that again. Whoa, right? I think that perception shift happens in her and happens in us at the exact same time. That is why this movie wins the Oscar to me, because it has that. Very few of the other Oscar contenders had that moment. Anuja takes you all the way to the perception shift, but doesn't actually have one. It's really well made. It's really anthropological, so vivid. There was one called The Last Ranger, I think, which was really well made about South Africa and poachers, and it was like so topical, but didn't have a perception shift. It was really well made, but it was mostly just like an action movie.
Can you rephrase or say again what that perception shift
Yeah.
was?
So the perception shift is we're learning there's a world where bots exist, and we learn that he has bought her, or at least somehow he was involved in her creation. But then I think the piece of dialogue is like something really subtle. Like he says, "There's one thing you can't do," and she's like, "What?" He says, "You have to die after me." And she's starting to go like, "Wait, why would that be a rule?" Right? As you are in the audience, like, it's kind of a weird rule. Seems like your bot should be able to, I don't know, try to kill itself or something. And then, because he says, "I'm not going to go through that again." I don't remember the exact piece of dialogue, but I think it's maybe that, where you're watching her face, and I think as an audience member, you're going, "Oh, wait, again? What? Oh." And he says Olivia. He names, like, maybe she says there was an Olivia?
She says Olivia,
Yeah. Because I guess her name's Olivia. So that's the big perception shift that happens in her. Oh, yeah, you're right. So maybe, yeah, Lord
Well, it
Olivia.
could have been that he mentioned an Olivia to her when they were dating, and she pieced it together.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't entirely clear. It didn't seem to me that at any point that he was saying, for example, you're programmed to die after I die. It's that she can't die until he's gone. Is what it seemed like.
We can go right there. Why not? Welcome to the internet.
Why was that Volkswagen silent?
Did you think that right away? Sorry, did you think that
It's the
right
cutest
away
little car.
when you heard?
They had all
Olivia?
iconic German cars
You
in
were
that
like,
shot.
oh, maybe Olivia. Oh no, I got it instantly.
Iconic.
I know. Well, it's Belgian, I think, is the movie. All right.
Het enige verschil is dat jij pas doodgaat als ik dood ben. Jij gaat na mij. Dat is echt het enige wat je...
So he's making the case, like, this is the only difference between us. And she's like, challenging him why.
Jij sterft pas als ik gestorven ben.
See, you will only die after I die.
She keeps going. She's not done with this.
It doesn't seem to
Ik wil er
say.
niet. Ik wil er niet meer rouwen, oké?
It's a good example of always having business and how... Not again. That's the clue. So she's realizing this has already happened. He already had someone who mattered to him who died.
I fully understand that part, but the part, it doesn't seem like she's programmed to 5 minutes after he dies, she's gonna like unwillingly die.
Oh, well,
Yeah, they're not clear.
Like she could live a long, long time and then die of how whatever robots die of. But she can't do it before it.
I guess it would be interesting to see in the feature film version how that would work. Would she just like power down or something? I don't know. Maybe they're linked in some way. Okay. But I think this is, all I'm trying to get at is, this is that moment of perception shift
Well,
that,
I think she's debating on if you purchased a bot before, was Olivia also a bot of someone?
oh, that's
People in
interesting.
your life are bots.
Oh my God. Multiple bots, like maybe Olivia was a bot.
He said she was real.
Oh, he
Well,
did?
that's why she asked. She was like, well, do you just get bots all the time?
But you know, she was real.
So, okay, and so, hearing this piece of information, what is her climactic choice? To kill herself, to try to kill herself, which we had just established with the blonde woman that she wouldn't be able to do if she were a real bot. But as we come to see, so you're thinking as a human, you're like, rock on, you're a human, you can kill yourself. But then, of course, final perception shift, her eyes open, and you know that she's not dead, even though she's smacked face first into the ground. That a human would probably be gone. No, she's definitely a bot. Yeah. Even though she's bleeding red blood. I mean, whatever. Who cares? The rules of the world are not that important in short film. Yeah, it's pretty.
I like that little touch. That it
Oh, good point. Not real
I
blood.
like that it was a nice touch of it being uncanny
from
Yes,
the blood, as well as
yes.
when she threw up, it was so minimal.
Oh yeah. Oh, you really look
Like
close
she
to the
couldn't
vomit.
do- like she couldn't do it.
So a good example of strangeness. Yeah, there's like a beauty and horror there. I'm a big believer in the sublime with cinema, and I put that up on the screen. The idea being that things that are beautiful and scary at the same time are great for cinema. You know, views from great heights. You know, that feeling of the Caspar von Friedrich image, the guy at the edge of a ledge. You know, like, and you're looking at mountainscape and it's beautiful, but you also know there's a gigantic plummet right there. So I like to try to figure out how to insert sublime ideas into whatever I work on, just because I think it's like super cinematic and it makes cinematographers get super excited. Okay, so I made my case. I gave you an outline of how I think strong short films are made and some rules around the premise of what makes a strong short film. I think this movie hits all of those. And that would be why I'd argue that it won an Oscar and ways in which you can replicate it. So let's try. I'm going to give you an inciting incident right now, and I want to see if we can beat out a story structure that does that Freytag triangle together. And then we're going to have a short film script that we're going to make as a crew later today. Just kidding. So I like to, so it's like, what time is it? 5 something?
It's
No.
4:40.
4:40. And this was supposed to end at 5:30. And I really want to make sure that you guys have time to network. I think it's really important for you to all meet each other. I don't live in Los Angeles, you do, so you can make films together. So I'll talk for let's work on this for another like 15 minutes, then we'll wrap and you can leave if you want, or buy a copy of my book, or just make a movie together, whatever you want to do. So I really like to work from my own experiences, my own life experiences. I just feel like it makes me want to sit and write when I'm talking about things I've experienced or I've seen. So this is an experience that I witnessed, not so much something that actually happened to me. I live in upstate New York. I was driving back from the city, and I stopped at the rest stop. It's called the Southern Tier Welcome Center, and it's almost brand new. And one of the things about this brand new Welcome Center is it has a ton of TVs in the main rest area zone. I'm sure you've seen these. And this time, it was probably like 10 o'clock at night. There were people around. There's a McDonald's in there. And usually it's like drone shots of upstate New York and, you know, trees and lakes and whatever. This was an Amber Alert. And it was, usually those Amber Alerts I get on my phone. This one was a picture, and it was like a 35-year-old woman and like a 14-year-old girl. And it was their make and model and the license plate, and it was like Amber Alert, you know, if you see these people, report them to the police. And I saw this, and I was like, first of all, it was kind of spooky, and then I thought, what if I was the girl? And what if I was the girl standing in this rest stop, and I looked up, and I saw this Amber Alert and realized, that's me. Like, I was on a basically road trip with my mom, went into the rest stop to go to the bathroom, and you saw that Amber Alert, and that was the moment you realized, no, you're actually being kidnapped right now. So that's our inciting incident. I know we have some cinematographers or people who have shot in this room, so let's start with an opening image. I like thinking that way too. We're screenwriters, you're thinking story through image. What could be an interesting opening image, right? It doesn't need to be super exciting, explosive, explode into scene. What would be an interesting opening image that might communicate what's really going on? Something simple, yeah.
I think some intimate moment between the child and the parent.
Great, so they're in the car, maybe the mom says, hey, I need to like pull up.
Walking into the welcome center holding hands.
So like that. It is pretty standard, right? Like I wouldn't necessarily keep watching a movie where you just see mom and dad walking into or mom and daughter walking into a rest stop. Could we make it somehow unusual?
Well, what if the daughter wants to go in and the mother is weirdly, well, they start out polite to one another and sweet, but then it's that sudden change where the mother's snapping, saying, no, I'm going to go in. You can wait in the car.
Interesting. Okay. Now we're on to something we're seeing conflict immediately.
Window or something like
Sorry?
that. The mom sees it through the window, like that the Amber Alert is on there.
Let's not go there yet. We're gonna slow burn this.
Yeah.
I like the idea of the daughter wanting, like, Mom, I got to go to the bathroom. We're in the car. Maybe they're even on the highway. And she's like, Mom, I need you to stop now. This is like going to get dangerous. And the mom, of course, doesn't want to go in because she knows she's putting the family at risk if she does. But she decides, she concedes, she don't want your daughter. And also, she's got to keep the fiction going, right? She doesn't want to tell her daughter this. So she does pull over. So there's a nice little conflict at the beginning that makes us feel like, what's the deal? Thoughts?
You said it's a gas station, right?
Like one of those welcome centers, you know, I'm sure they have them out here, right? Where you're like,
What if on the way she's like, oh, not this one? The mom's like, no, this one.
why the next one?
And daughter's not going to ask anything. She's too young. So it's like,
Well, 14 years, you got some sass. You know what I mean? I don't know about you, but I was 14. I got some sass. I want to back up a second. There's a couple things I want to put in place. I want us to observe the unities, meaning one welcome center. We don't get to go into the future or the past. Same location and these same characters. So we could add maybe a minor character or two, but I don't want to see the dad showing up. I don't want a whole army of cops. We got a mother and a daughter and maybe like 2 or 3 more characters we might bring into the story. Something else I want to introduce is we got to give this girl some personality. She's a 14-year-old that's 12 to 14. I don't know, what kind of girl is she? Like, I don't know about thrifty?
Swifty.
What's that mean? Oh, she's a Swiftie. Got it. So headphones and ponytail. Let's give her a little edge, though. Come on, we want her to be a little interesting. What about you? We'll go back when you were 12 or 14. What kind of girl were you?
Oh, I was a little rocker chick.
Cool. So it's got a little. So maybe she's not a Swiftie. Maybe she's into
Yeah,
Evanescence. I don't know. What is a 14? Chapel Rowan. By the way, we can't put any of these real people into this movie because we're going to pay the rights. Forget it. I went with, so when I tend to write, I try to grab something from my own biography. I was super into kleptomania. I was stealing shit and I was throwing it away. Like I didn't even want what I was stealing, but I was stealing stuff.
Well, why not just go with that then? So the daughter becomes less trustworthy to the adults around her, less likely to believe her.
Here's the other reason why I think kleptomania works, and it's like a writerly technique. This is a story about a kidnapping and an Amber Alert. When you think about your main character, think about a thematic relationship that can be represented in your main characters working on the same stuff. She likes to take things that aren't hers. You know what? What is the mom doing? So this is like a way to kind of lift up your story and then go back into your character from the theme. So there are some amazing writers in this world who use this kind of writing technique. We might call it like fractal writing, where you're kind of zooming out and in, out and in all the time. Okay, so she's a little kleptomaniac, as I was. I was always stealing pens and just throwing them away. I have a twin brother who remembers me saying to him, Austin Bunn gets what Austin Bunn wants. And then like whipping like quill pens into a bush. The point being, I was a little, a little thief. Okay, so she needs to go to the bathroom. Actually, maybe what she wants to do is actually steal something. She's got that little, so I like this. So they pull over, they go into this rest stop. Other image I had was, what if we're just getting this like big master shot of the parking lot, right? They pull in. Mom's not going to park like a normal person would. She pulls way out where no other cars are, right? Because you don't want to be, this Amber Alert, she
backs in.
Yeah, she wants to be away from anybody else. Maybe she's parking weird, but we're getting a visual sense of, oh, this is what's the deal? Why would you park so far away? Maybe even the daughter's like, Mom, what's the deal? Like, yeah, like right over there. That's where like we just passed a spot. You just passed a spot. You passed another spot.
Before going in, if you could just add one more character that would be pivotal towards the end.
Set it up.
It would be a trucker that
Ooh.
also looks equally as untrustworthy, and they
Love
exchange
it.
glances when
We're going to
they-
reversal. We didn't even talk about reversal today, but of course, it's always really satisfying when characters you think are baddies turn out to be goodies, or goodies turn out to be baddies. In a short film, you usually get one reversal. Okay, so we see a truck driver. Maybe she looks at the girl, looks at the mom. We get a little bit like maybe he's like, ooh, he's gross. What's that going to be about? But maybe he's going to save this girl's life. We don't know. Okay, so inciting incident. They go into the rest stop. Maybe mom is like, I got to go do something. And remember, we're in the 14-year-old's perspective. We don't even really need to worry about what the mom's up to in this plot. Let's just focus on the 14-year-old. So she goes to steal something, right? Like, I don't know, like steal a trucker cap or a bumper sticker or something. Maybe there's even a little, like another 14-year-old boy who's buying like a Snickers or something. And maybe we get the sense of a fake out, like, he's kind of cute. He's looking at her like, ooh, she's kind of cute. And so maybe we get the sense, maybe this is a romantic story, but who knows? Yeah.
If they're doing the bickering, you know those big silver, almost mirror-like things, so
Where you can see her on a corner?
Yeah. What if she sees the Amber Alert through that?
I like this idea. I was going to even say, let's just take another beat where she makes a decision on her own to do something, aka steal something. Let's just get that out of the way. Maybe we even jump time a little bit. We get up to the point where we know she's got her eye on something. We see she's going to reach for it. The cute boy is looking at her. We jump time. Now she's back in the main zone, and she either sees in the mirror or literally she's standing there. Crowds are getting their Starbucks and their McDonald's, and we see, oh my God, she's looking at herself up on these screens like, oh my God. Now, just to put a fine point on this, what is the perception shift for this girl at that moment? What is she realizing?
Her mother is
Kidnapping her. Go a little further. What would you feel if you realized that?
People are looking at for you.
Incredibly like scrutinized, but also maybe my mom is not a good person, right? Or like, I love my mom, but like, what's going on, right? You'd have a ton of questions. So I was going to say, I think our natural inclination, right, is that the mom is rescuing the girl, right? That would be my inclination. I was raised by a single mom. That's my immediate setup. And I think it's really important for you as writers, when you're doing these perception shifts, is try to imagine what audiences would immediately think, right? Which is mom good, saving daughter, okay? Because this is going to matter when we try to do another perception shift. We have to reverse this or evolve it or create a new understanding. Did you have a thought? Or?
Yeah, I was thinking to add more
how she feels about her mom. Maybe in the car, her mom in the opening is maybe she's trying to like find acceptance with her mom, like trying out different wigs, like her mom's different wigs. Maybe like we don't see it,
This is
but
good.
like beforehand, she's like, "Mom, do you like this one?" And she's got like all these wigs, her mom's wigs. But her
Nice.
mom maybe like set it up where she wants to hide what her kid looks like.
Oh, I love that. Or wouldn't you be if like 14, you're like, wait, Mom, why do you have like this weird blonde wig in the back of the car? Like, what's this all about, right? Wouldn't you have a ton of questions?
Well, if her mom's like kind of dressed like that too, like maybe it's like, I have a friend who has a bunch of wigs, right? So maybe they're like, mom could, like, she finally let her kid, like, you know, try on her wigs or something. But,
Or something like mom would be like, put on your hoodie, it's cold out. Would you put the hoodie on, the hoodie up? I want to see you like really covered up. And you'd be like, Mom, it's not that hot or cold out. That's good. All these things that when you're watching it for the first time, you're like, no big deal. But if you watch it the second time, you're like, oh, I see what the mom's trying to do. She's trying to hide her daughter. Yeah.
I have a pitch that would make things a little different from now, but maybe more dramatic.
That's okay. Yeah. Let's hear it.
Maybe we start out thinking, actually, that this is a mom and a daughter escaping an abusive situation. Mom's like, yeah, we gotta go, we're running, whatever.
Unities, we can't go back. We're never going home. But we know about it.
This
Okay.
is maybe the car.
Okay.
We enter the rest stop, the girl sees the Amber Alert,
Yep.
and at this moment we start thinking that the cops have taken the dad's side, you know, the bad dad.
Okay.
And then, you know, throughout the film you start to realize actually the mother is the abusive figure.
We're going to get there. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So that's a good idea. That's part of this perception shift engineering, right? We hold off on that. Let people believe the mom's the good one, right? So she's planned ahead. She's got some good stuff. She's got these, I don't know, she has maybe some like weird things that might be both costume or disguise. Either way, what I want to get back to is we got to create some choice for this main character. It's really easy with young kids to make them totally passive. They get dragged around, boring to watch. So let's separate mom and daughter, right? Daughter went to go, Mom, I need like to go get Skittles, whatever. She stole something. Mom went to wherever she went. You're this 14-year-old girl. You see your mom's picture and your picture up there. What would you do? What's her line of action? Oof. You think? I don't think so. Because you tell somebody, it's going to immediately escalate to cops and everything. Yeah, the back. Yeah, find the mom. Let's be clear about it. We got to make the mom a mystery location, right? So go find the mom. So what do? Where do you go look for your mom?
Bathroom.
Bathroom's probably the first place, right? Cool. Let's stay inside since we're outside. We'll get outside in a minute. Let's stay inside this the rest stop. She goes to look for her mom. She goes in the bathroom. Why is this an interesting scene? How do we make this bathroom scene interesting? Yeah? Mirrors everywhere, tons of people.
Someone overhears that's in a stall in the bathroom.
So, well, keep in mind, like you're this 14-year-old girl, your face was just up on here. You don't want to be like, hey, Mom, where are you? Like the 14-year-old girl. So she can't just call out for her mom. Yeah.
Of course, if she's a 14-year-old girl, if she sees her face on the TV, would she at all use her phone to take a picture or use her phone at all?
Interesting.
It seems like a lot of people just have constantly.
I was going to say, probably 14-year-old probably do that. In general, phones and movies, like, it's tough, right? Because it immediately starts to feel like all the drama is happening on the phone. You can't really see it, or So let's keep the phone out of it for a minute. She saw her own picture. She just wants to hide, mostly. Get out of the main room. Go look for her mom. She's in a bathroom where she can't see her mom. There's a bunch of stalls. There are a bunch of women. Any other thoughts about how she could find her mom? Great. That's nice and visual, and there's no language, right? So good short films. Those of you that are cinematographers, the less dialogue, the better, right? Especially with a young actor, you might not get the best performance, except that she can do what you're asking. So she looks for her mom's shoes. No mom in this room. Okay, so she goes back to the main room, right? The Amber Alert's still up. And at this point, maybe there's a cop buying coffee at the Starbucks. Keep escalating, right? Let's keep this as scary and as like close to being she's going to get in trouble as possible. Yeah.
Cop could be at the front, and then that trucker could be at the front door.
Great. Waiting for somebody, or I don't know, buying a newspaper. It's all there. Okay, so I got a little twist of the knife I'm going to throw out there. She sees the cute boy, except that now he's being followed by the dude behind the cashier, right, from the little quickie mart. That boy saw her steal the whatever, and they're coming to her, right? So remember, she just stole something, so she's also going to get in trouble potentially, right? Again, just trying to escalate. Now the mom shows up. The mom grabs her arm and is like, sweetie, we're getting out of here. Bye-bye. The mom doesn't know the daughter stole something. Maybe the mom was on the phone with her sister trying to make arrangements. Who cares? It's in the daughter's POV. But they get stopped. That boy and the Quickie Mart guy are like, can I talk to you for a second, ma'am? Like, I think your daughter was just here. Do you mind if I just see what's in her jacket? It looks like her hoodies. And the mom would be like, excuse me? Like, no, my daughter has nothing to do with that. Because, of course, she doesn't know she's a kleptomaniac. By the way, I'm just spinning wheels right now. I don't really know where this is going. The point being, just confrontation. And the mom, here are up right above them are pictures of themselves. So if you're the mom and you've seen that, you're going to try to keep their eyes down, right? And you're going to try to solve this problem as quick as you can. Yeah.
What if the boy has her back? Like, what if he looks at her like, I'm not going to say anything?
Oh, I like that. I like a little reversal there. So we thought he was bad, but actually he's like, maybe the guy thought that he was helping her or something. And the boy's like, what are you doing? I have no idea. Great. I like that idea.
He puts his hand up to say it's her, and then he puts his hand back down.
Sure. Reversal. Let's get them off the hook, right? Maybe the mom was like, thank you, and the boy, whatever, denies it. The mom gives the Quickie Mart owner $20 and is like, look, I don't know what your problem is, but my daughter didn't steal a dumb cap or a mug or a bumper sticker. We're out of here. And they leave. And the minute that Quickie Mart guy is sitting there with $20 and he looks up, the screens change away from Amber Alert back to drone shots of upstate New York. I don't know, whatever. The point being reversal, right? Just raise the stakes, raise the stakes. Okay, but now we're back in the main 14-year-old girl's perspective. She's being dragged out of this rest stop with her mom back to the car. I don't know about you guys, but I would be really confused and probably pissed, because if it's true that my mom is stealing me away to go somewhere, that means I'm leaving behind dad, all my friends, the world I know. What the hell is going on, right? So now we get background. This is where exposition comes out. And I don't think you get a flashback in a short film. I think you got to try to avoid it. So in this case, I'm the 14-year-old girl. I'd be pissed. I'd be wanting to know the answers, right? She's challenging her. Where are we going? And the mom would be like, I don't even know yet. Maybe she denies it. She doesn't want her daughter to know. And things get really complicated, as you can imagine, in the middle of a parking lot where if anybody notices them, mom is going to jail. So that's a good tension, right? That's some nice inner and outer conflict. Because they're fighting with each other, but they've got to keep it really on the DL. Let's say they get all the way back to their car. You're the 14-year-old girl. Would you get in? Why not?
There's an element of fear there.
Yeah. I'm like, who are you to me? I mean, I love my mom, but this would be really shattering. Any other thoughts? Would anybody get in the car? Yeah.
I would. Just because it's my mom. I feel like if we talk about anything, we'll talk about it while we're in the car. Because I don't know at that point if she's stealing me away or if she's trying to protect me from something. It's my mom. I've known her my whole life.
Yeah.
So at that point, I probably would get in the car and I'll be like, okay, I'm going to trust you for now, but I need you to tell me what's going on.
Great. I love this. So let's make her make a choice, which is, okay, you know what? I'll get in the car and go. They get in the car, right? But we can't have them leave the parking lot. Story's done, right? We got to observe the unities. Yeah.
Maybe because she's a klepto, she steals the keys, and it's like, I'm not.
Ooh, this is good. This is good. I like that idea. I like the idea of the stealing of things ends up being involved in the climactic choice. But let's hold off, because I think there's something we can do there in a minute. Trucker. What if there's now the trucker moment where the truckers saw that Amber Alert, the truckers started to come and getting in front of this car, right? And now there's this isn't going to be easy to get out of this parking lot without realizing this is going to explode potentially. Yeah.
Well, wouldn't that just be at the very, very peak of the escalation, say the keys do come into play hypothetically, and it's this really fast pace of you tell me now, he's getting closer, and it just gets to the boiling point before maybe the mother reveals at that point.
Well, I want to get back to, maybe it was your idea. What if in something about the way the mom's reacting to this trucker guy who's really just concerned about the girl, right? We're seeing the mom's mania. We're seeing that the mom really doesn't maybe react the way that we thought a more calm person would, or maybe there's something that's coming out. Maybe even the trucker's like, lady, you need to take a breath right here. This is your daughter's terrified. What is going on? If this was totally normal, you wouldn't be reacting like this. What I'm getting at is there's some... Your face wouldn't be on the screen, right? If there's no big deal, I saw you up on that screen. Why don't you just take 15 minutes and just calm down? The point being, something is about to explode. The trucker turns out to be a good guy. I like that idea. Keeps them from just driving out. Maybe they're cornered. He's standing in front of the car. He's like, you're going to drive over me? I'm going to stand right here until you tell me what the hell's going on here. I like this tension. I love the idea the mom can't find the keys, right? Or maybe not yet. I don't know. There's something in that. The point being, let's keep going. The mom is trapped. This is going down. Trucker signals to the cop comes outside. Maybe now we get the sense like, oh my God, the cop's coming here. The mom is caught, right? And we get the sense of, oh shit, the mom is gonna go to jail probably. When those Amber Alerts go up, I don't think you can argue much. I think you're kind of just screwed. Time for a climactic choice. This 14-year-old girl has to be the one to make the big decision in this plot. What could she do to resolve things in a surprising way, right? Yeah.
She just ran to go to the car and runs over the trucker with the mom.
She just runs over the trucker. Okay, there's like, boom, boom, he dead? So she drives the car. Okay, that's interesting. That's pretty, I think we're switching gears into a genre that's a lot darker than the one we started in. But I like what you're getting at, which is that, what if let's say mom and daughter had to get out of the car, the cop is like, I don't know what's going on here, you're on the Amber Alert, I'm calling backup, you need to sit right here, ma'am, until people come by. What if the daughter gave the mom the keys? So in a story about taking things that aren't yours, it's actually about giving something. So again, in that zoom out structure of like screenwriting, thinking about your character just takes and takes, usually a climactic choice is going to involve giving, right? The opposite of whatever their character behavior is. So she gives the mom the keys, she sneaks them to her mom, knowing that if her mom drives off, right, and the daughter's still here, I think the mom's off the hook, right? Because the daughter's really the one that the dad wants. And maybe in that reaction, when the mom was so overheated, we came to understand, oh, like as somebody pointed out, maybe the dad actually isn't such an evil person. It's the mom who's mentally ill and did not have a plan and just decided in a reaction to take her daughter. This is a lot to kind of unpack in a story, but you can see the energies there. Did you have your hand up? Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say for a choice, I think, of the daughter giving her the keys, the mom could kind of, because everything's like coming to a climax, she looks at the daughter and says like, if you think you'll be better off without me, you can go ahead and go. Why don't you, you can walk like to the cops yourself. And I think at that moment, the daughter can make a choice and be like, back to what you were saying, like, I love my mom, I trust my mom. So that she gives the keys, obviously uncomfortable, but still like, because of the unknown, she's more scared of the unknown than to figure out what actually happened.
I like everything you said, except I would take all the dialogue out. You can do that all on the face, right? The mom sitting there totally nervous, and the daughter just gives her the keys. And the mom understanding by being given the keys by her daughter, she's saying go, right? And it's going to be so much more powerful if there's no dialogue, I think. Let all that negotiation happen in the face. For the actors in the room, right? Way more interesting to play that all without any words. Yeah.
I think after the mom is gone and everything's settled down in the parking lot with, the cop being like, I gotta call back up or whatever. I think, remember how they said don't bring the phone into it? I think the very dark.
Now it rings.
No, a dark comedic ending of her looking at the cop saying, do you have a phone? I need to call my dad.
Oh, yeah, interesting. I was even thinking like the way I would do it, and very related to this is, she gives the mom the keys, the mom looks at her, we get that beat of mother and daughter kind of saying goodbye in that instant. Again, irrevocability, that's what you're looking for. After today, nothing's gonna ever be the same between these two of these people. And then you just keep the camera on the daughter's face while we hear the mom get into a car. We hear the car start up, we hear her zoom out of the parking lot. We hear the cop go, what the fuck? Turn on his sirens. The daughter's sitting there and you just watch her mom go. And your last shot is just held on that young actress's face while she's going through this roller coaster of emotions. And you know what's great about that? You don't need to pull off any of that action for the audience to judge and feel like it's fake. And it's going to be so much more powerful. You just watch the young actor's experience of that. And I think that's a solid short film. Now, it'd be hard to shoot in a rest stop, but unique location. Have you seen a short film set in a rest stop? It'd be an interesting coup. I bet you could pull it off with enough extras, shooting it late at night in a kind of remote one. There's not a lot of people. You probably could even do it like kind of run and gun and don't ask permission, just do it, Seriously, the cameras are light enough. It'd be actually kind of a coup, to do it that way. There's so many films like that have been made, run and gun style. There's an amazing short film called Sea of Totality, is that what it's called? Shot on the eclipse that took place 5 years ago, and they just shot the thing live during the eclipse. It's really amazing. Okay, I feel like I've been talking forever. Let me just take a beat. Any questions on this? I mean, anybody else have another idea about how to end this thing? I threw an idea at you. That's how I'd pitch it as a screenwriter. Yeah.
Question. Whenever you're writing, do you ever think about or start with what is the ending first and then work?
Sometimes, yeah.
Kind of depends on
I'm a kind of a softie. I sometimes I have like a crescendo in my mind and I kind of write backwards from that. Like so I made this film called Campfire. It's on the internet. And that was a film that's, as I mentioned, kind of a documentary narrative hybrid film where I had shot a lot of a documentary and then turned it into a narrative film. So I knew what the ending was the day I started, and I had to kind of write backwards into a plot that could get me there. And so that happened for me. That works sometimes. Yeah.
Do you, in your book, have any pins on, say you have a feature script and you're adapting to a short, how does that look from your perspective?
I think that's a great idea because feature films are really hard to get made. But I explore a couple of examples. The main one would be Whiplash. So have you ever seen the short film of Whiplash?
No, not the short.
So the feature film's great, right? And he had written the feature film script and tried to get it made, but it was hard to finance. So he decided to take 15 pages from the feature and turn it into a short film. But he had to adjust some things. Like if you watch the short film, it has a pretty big blowout confrontation that doesn't happen quite yet in the feature film. And so you might have to do some rewriting to make it fit the short form. But Whiplash would be the perfect example. That's what I would look for. And I talk about that in the book. But the book is really about short film screenwriting, so I've got a ton of examples, scripts. And if you're kind of curious but don't want to plunge in today, if you go to austinbunn.com, I have a whole page for the book. And I include some scripts that are exclusively on the internet for free that you can just read. And interviews with all the filmmakers are there, including a film festival curator who talks a lot about why he programs what he programs. And so you can learn about how to get your film into a film festival.
And we can order the book on the website.
You can order the book on the website. Yep. It's on Amazon and whatnot. But I'm selling it today for $25, which is $5 off the website. And you can Venmo me, and I'll stick around here. So I feel like we should let some time for you guys to meet each other, or maybe ask me more questions if you want. Thank you so much for letting me talk today. I don't know, where are you? There, Indiana. Thank you, guys. This was really fun.
Thanks everyone for coming. What a full house we have, and I apologize if you had trouble parking once again. But yeah, feel free to hang out for another 30, and then we have to get to Chicago next week. So
What's happening in Chicago?
What?
What's happening?
Podcast movement. So if you guys are interested in podcasting, you should check out Podcast Movement. They have a lot of free talks and stuff there, online or live streaming. But feel free to hang. I'll get rid of all of our blackout blinds so it feels a little brighter in here too. But good to see you.
Can we turn on the lights, Indiana?